How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video at Battlegrounds Game Center. I'm Patrick, and today we're going to be doing an overview of the new Pariah Nexus mission deck for Warhammer 40K. So this is the second deck in the new edition of Warhammer, the first one being Leviathan, when the Leviathan box set first came out. So this is going to essentially replace that deck. Now you could of course still play with it if you want, but this is going to give you all new secondaries, deployments, everything, update some of the rules, and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and go through this, see what comes inside, how it changes the game, and go from there. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this wrapping off and take a look inside. All right, so just like the Leviathan deck, when you open up, you're going to have all your cards, and then there's actually going to be some new objective tokens, which have the Necron symbol there. So that's always cool to see. I should be 6 of them in total. So it's really cool that they're giving these nice punch-out objective tokens for you. And then they also have the new neoprene objective mats that just came out along with this. And we do have those available in store along with this deck. So if you're interested in picking that up, I'll leave the link to our online store below in the description. But as we carry on here, we're going to have all the different contents that come in the box. So this is a little pamphlet. So you're going to have 6 cards for your deployment deck. The mission rules, which is going to be 10 cards. Primary mission deck's going to have 9. And then the secondary decks are going to have 18 for both the attacker and defender. And then there's going to be a new secret mission deck, which replaces the Gambit deck that was in the Leviathan box. So it's a new way to kind of like a catch-up mechanic. So it's a new way to do that. So, but a lot of the rules are going to still be the same. You're going to muster your armies, determine mission, read your mission, place your objectives, create the battlefield, determine attacker, and then select secondary missions. It still has the fixed missions just like before, where you're going to have this little symbol here. So those are where you can set them aside, and you're just going to have those for the whole battle. Instead of just going through your deck for your secondary missions, you're going to have fixed missions that you're just going to try to score every round. And then you're going to have your tactical missions are replenished at the start of your command, which is, again, the deck. So if you're using tactical missions, you'll draw 2 cards from the secondary mission deck. Those 2 are active until you achieve them. New orders, so you still have that stratagem where you can replace one that you drew that you didn't like. So then you can declare battle formation. So all of this is pretty much the same if you've already been playing with the Leviathan mission deck. Yeah, redeploy units, determine first turn, play the battle, and determine victor. So I don't think there's anything else except for on the back here, we have VP, so how much maximum VP you can get. So between primary and or the secret mission, you can get a total of 50. Secondary, you can get a total of 40. But if you're using fixed missions, 20 maximum per card. So you can't do 40 on one card. It can only be 20 on each card. And then if you're painted army, you always get that extra 10 points. So, and now secret mission. So we're going to go ahead and read what this says, because this is brand new to me. And brand new to a lot of people since it replaces the Gambit system from the first deck. So secret missions are challenging covert goals you can pursue if the primary mission seems in jeopardy. So at the end of the 3rd battle round, starting with the player who had the 2nd turn, if your primary mission VP total is less than or equal to your opponent's, you can choose to undertake a secret mission. If you do, you're going to secretly select 1 card from your secret mission deck and place it to one side face down. You cannot score more than 20 victory points from the primary mission card. Any excess victory points awarded above this maximum are lost. And then at the end of the battle, you'll reveal your secret mission to your opponent. If you achieve the goal described on the card, you score the VP. So the big difference here is Gambits are random, where you had, like, you drew some cards and then you had a choice. This one is you get to pick from all 4, like, hey, this is the one I'm going to try to do. So that is a nice change. And from what I've seen or heard, that they seem a lot more doable than Gambits, so that's good. Actions are going to be a new thing. So some cards feature actions that certain units can perform. Each action states which units can perform it, and then when it's started and completed and what the effects of it are. So a unit cannot start to perform an action if 1 or more of the following apply: if it's an aircraft, if it's battle shocked, if it has a 0 objective control characteristic, if it's within engagement range of 1 or more enemies, unless it's Titanic, if it advanced or fell back this turn, and it is not eligible to shoot this phase, including units that have already been selected to shoot. So if a unit starts to perform an action, until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to shoot or declare a charge unless it's a Titanic character, in which case, until the end of the turn, that unit cannot start to perform another action and is not eligible to declare a charge. If a unit performing an action makes a move, excluding pile-in and consolidation moves, or leaves the battlefield, that action cannot be completed. So very similar to how it was in like 9th edition. Then some designer notes here. So yeah, just VP limits, stuff like that. And then here's your deployment card key. So it shows you like with the defender's deployment zone, objective markers has a center of the battlefield edge, and so on. So yeah, so that is the little content guide that shows you everything that comes in and some of the new rules. So we'll go ahead and start moving our way through here. So nice big stack of cards. So you got your deployments. So there should be 6, I believe. So Hammer and Anvil. You got Search and Destroy. Crucible of Battle. I'm pretty sure these are relatively the same from Leviathan. I don't think there's really any changes. Dawn of War. Sweeping Engagement. This one might be new, actually. The deployment looks different from what I've seen. And then Tipping Point, same with that. So it looks like there might be some new deployments there, which are very interesting, actually. So those are pretty cool. So then we have our mission rules. So these are basically like twists on the game. So if you you'll draw a mission rule and it'll kind of affect the battlefield in some way. So adapt or die. So this one actually has for players using fixed missions or tactical missions. So if you're using fixed, once per battle, at the end of the player's turn, after scoring any VP, you can discard one of their secondary mission cards and replace it with another that has the fixed mission symbol. So that's kind of cool. You can, if you don't like what fixed mission you have or it's not going well for you, you can do that once per battle. And then if you're using tactical, twice per battle after drawing, you can draw another one and shuffle one of those two to the deck. So this is basically a way for you to cycle some missions if you're not doing too well with them. So that's nice. We're not going to read every single card, but we're just going to go through some of the changes. So Hidden Supplies, Fog of War. In this first battle round, units have the benefit of cover and players cannot use core stratagems. I think that's a new one. Inspired Leadership. While a player's warlord is not within their deployment zone, each time a unit from that player's army takes a battle shock test, if that player's warlord is within 9 inches of it, add 1 to that test. So a little bit more battle shock shenanigans. We got Prepared Positions. Players can target their battle line units with the go to ground and heroic intervention stratagems. Very cool. Raise banners. This is going to be using. So at the end of each player's turn, if a battle line unit from their army is within a range of an objective marker that player controls, that unit raises a banner on that objective marker. That player scores 1 VP, and that player unit can no longer raise a banner. Oh, okay. So instead of like how this used to be a secondary, it's just now a mission rule to get some extra VP. So very cool. We're not going to go over all this. Just kind of show you that there's a bunch here. So swift action, if you advanced or fell back, you could still perform an action that turn. So this deck's all about actions and stuff. So those are a quick look at the mission rules. And then, of course, they have new backs. And then we have our primary missions here. So we got Take and Hold, which will score 5 victory points for each marker they control, up to 15. So the Ritual, Unexploded Ordnance. So I think this is a new one. So move hazard action. So starts your shooting phase. 1 or more units from your army, each within range of a different hazard objective marker you control. Completes end of your turn if the unit performing this action is still within range of the same hazard objective marker you control. If completed, you can move those hazard objective markers up to 16 inches. When doing so, that objective marker cannot end that move on top of any other objective marker. So kind of like the Servo Skulls one from the first deck a little bit. And then you score 8 victory points if it's wholly within their opponent. Yeah, this is basically Servo Skulls, just a little bit, but it requires an action instead of just being by it. So you got Linchpin, Scorched Earth, Supply Drop. So you can randomly select 2 different objective markers. The first one is Alpha, second is Omega. I think that's pretty similar to what it was before. So Purge the Foe. Each player scores 4 points if 1 or more enemy units were destroyed this battle round, and then second battle round, end of the battle round. So each player scores 50 points if more enemy units than friendly units were destroyed. Okay. So very cool. And Terraform, that's a new one. So it's an action. So your shooting phase. 1 or more units from your army, each within range of a different objective marker that is not within your deployment zone, has not been terraformed. So at the end of your opponent's next turn, at the end of the battle, whichever comes first, if the unit performing this action is still within range of the same objective marker and you control that objective marker, each of these objective markers is terraformed, and then you get 4 points if you control them, but then you get 2 victory points additionally if they've been terraformed. So cool. So yeah, there's different missions, there's different mission rules. Some of them are the same, of course. Some of them have differences. Some of them are completely new. So it's always good to see when you have these decks. I do prefer these decks over the original chapter approved books, so I like to see it. And then we'll get to the secret missions last. So then we have 2 decks here, which is an attacker defender deck that have the same secondaries. Some of them are going to have that icon there. That means that they're fixed. So you'll pick 2 of those to just score throughout the whole game. Otherwise, you're going to shuffle these up and you'll draw cards each battle round. So we'll go through a few of these here. They did change a little bit of the graphic design of these. They look a little bit cleaner. So that's good. So secure no man's land, classic. So at the end of your turn, if you control 1 marker in no man's land, 2 victory points, or if you control 2 or more, you get 5 victory points. Very, very simple. Containment, marked for death. So when drawn, your opponent must select 3 units from their army on the battlefield. If there are only 1 or 2 units from their army on the battlefield, they must select those units. If there are no units, discard, and draw a new one. And then at the end of either player's turn, 1 or more of the selected units were destroyed. You get 5 victory points. So defend stronghold, storm hop style objective, engage on all fronts, recover assets. So this is an action card. So this is going to be your shooting phase. 2 or more units from your army. If each of those units are wholly within a different one of the following areas: your deployment zone, no man's land, your opponent's deployment zone, end of your opponent's turn, next turn, or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. If either 2 or 3 of those units are on the battlefield, those units recover assets. And at the end of the opponent's turn, on the end of the battle, whichever comes first, 2 of your units recovered assets this turn, you get 3 points, or 3 of your units recovered assets, you get 6 points. So behind enemy lines, it's one I do a lot because I have like Mallocs and stuff in my Tyranid army. So if 1 or more unit is in a deployment zone, 3, or 2 or more, 4. So that's pretty much the same. But if it's the first battle round, you can't have it. You have to do a new one. Area denial, assassination, cleanse, establish locus. So this is a new action one. So it's an action during your shooting, at the start of your shooting phase. Units, 1 unit from your army. At the end of your turn, if that unit is within your opponent's deployment zone or within 6 of the center, you establish a locus. And then at the end of your turn, if you establish a locus this turn and within 6 of the center, 2 victory points, or if it's in your opponent's deployment zone, 4. And that is a fixed one as well. Sabotage, overwhelming force, no prisoners, classic bring it down, extend battle lines, and then call the horde. So yeah, all the new secondaries. Again, I'm not going to read all of them. This is just a quick little overview to show you some of the differences. And then last, so we're going to put those there. Lastly, we have the secret missions. So we will go over all these just because these are completely new. So we have 4, and then again, from 3rd battle round onward, if you have less points than your opponent, you can choose one of these, and then you can't score more than 20 points from the primary from now on, but you can attempt to score this. So you'll have potential of 40 points from between the primary and this. So, command insertion. So it's a secret mission. So at the end of the battle, your warlord is within range of 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone that you control. Holy crap, this is so much easier than a gambit. Way easier. Now, granted, if you're losing, it might not be as possible, but this one alone is already that much easier. So shatter cohesion at the end of battle. If there are no units from your opponent's army on the battlefield, so if you somehow turn it all around and you just wipe out your opponent's army, or every unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield meets 1 or more of the following conditions. They're battle shocked, that unit is below half strength, and that unit is more than 3 inches away from all objective markers. So yeah, these are so far way more doable than gambits were. Unbroken wall. So you control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. Again, pretty easy. And then 1 or more battle line units from your army. So war of attrition. 1 or more battle line units from your army are within your opponent's deployment zone. And one of the following conditions apply. There are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. And every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your opponent's deployment zone. So yeah, those are all the secret missions. They are the exact same between the players, just attacker, defender. Much easier than Gambits. I could see myself picking one of these on occasion, depending on how well I'm doing. So yeah, I like this a lot. This is good change, very good change. But if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more like it, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And if you want to pick up the Pariah Nexus mission deck, we have them available in store, online, as well as the objective tokens and so on. So go ahead and grab yourself a copy of this while you can. I know that they're kind of hard to get right now, so we do have a few available, and we hope you can get one so you can start playing the new version of Warhammer 40K 10th edition. But until next time, I'm Patrick at Battlegrounds Game Center. See you later.